All right. Hello, Ron. Hope you're having a wonderful day. This is my response to your Presbyterian viewpoint and video that you have submitted for Systematic Theology 2. Um, and just in case you don't know, I am approaching this from a plural eldership perspective. So, looking at your video, I really like the way that you put it together. I really appreciate the fact that you drew out and fleshed out a little bit the fact that church government is critical and almost to the viewpoint that it's just the fact that there is a church governance that is the critical part, and that we need to have organization and structure for the church to be successful in the world all throughout history, from the earliest apostolic churches until today. And so when we look at that, we look at the form of governments that have appeared throughout history. With your Presbyterian model, I really like how you chose to um, draw out the early church's fear of false leadership. And I would argue, too, that that is almost a humanistic emotion or mindset, is just to, if you have someone that's in charge of leadership over you, yes, you might trust that individual and respect them, but then if you have multiple layers of this leadership, at what level do you accept what they're saying without question? And at what level are you looking at them and saying that, hey, well, this might be something that's not right? And so there's that innate fear of leadership. And so I think that that can be argued both from your perspective within the Presbyterian model and the way that you choose to appoint leaders into different positions, and then also it's seen clearly within the plural eldership, where leadership can be elected and then they can also be removed as well. So I think that that's something that will transcend across these different versions of church governance, that it's something that in some fashion it's built into almost every form of church governance as some kind of safety to remove leadership that may become corrupt or burdensome. And in fact, if a system would not have a method or a bylaw like that, that would be a system that would be in question of being completely illegitimate. Another thing that you pointed out was with the history of the early church, that they were almost forced to form leadership of a Presbyterian type model, to elect leaders and to be able to appoint people to organize and govern them, to help in all actuality prevent early Christianity from being almost exterminated by Roman persecution and persecution from other groups in the early days before there was acceptance for Christianity. And at the same time, to build in the ability to avoid and help to disrupt the formation of other violent or damaging subgroups of Christianity that were starting to emerge, that would have different ideals or would be in completely the wrong ballpark, that leadership was able to come together and form and establish early church doctrines and move forward. Another thing that you looked at that is brought up within plural eldership as well is the idea of sola scriptura, that we need to look at the Bible to make an ideal of Christian governance and logic in almost every situation. Now, this is important, and it's something that you and I would use the same scriptures with slight variations to make the majority of our argumentations for both of our points. So I think that's something valid that is deserving of being stated, that it's important to be able to utilize the Bible and to make justifications for what we're doing based upon Scripture and our interpretation of that Scripture. Overall, I think your video was very well put together, and I enjoyed the information that you presented. And as far as our differences in church governance that go between the Presbyterian models and the plural eldership model, I really believe that given the different models that we're looking at with this, that you and I could probably sit down and have a civil meal and discuss this matter more easily than the other variations of church governance. So once again, I'd like to thank you very much for your work and your research that you put into this project. I hope that you have a blessed day and a blessed Easter as well, as we're approaching Good Friday and Easter very rapidly. So thank you. Good night and God bless.